sociologist who studies aging in the life course is present among all the other people on the panel. So I'm Joyce Weil. I'm a social gerontologist, and I'm going to talk a little bit about place. So I think the moderator asked that I give you some grounding slides, right? And why are we interested in place, and why am I really honored to be here? Because if you're planning place, you will encounter older adults. And I'm using older adults consciously as a term. It's a reframing aging term. It's the appropriate term to use or to define people by age, right? That's the appropriate terminology. So this is just to show you basically that the number of older adults, this is US based, so I'm sorry, it's limited, but is increasing and will continue to increase based on census data. There's no need to get fixated in the devil in the details, but look at the deep purple. It's to show you that the majority of people who are 65 plus in the US will live in what we call a community setting, meaning in a home or apartment, in a non-institutional or constructed setting. So when you're designing or thinking about the population you're working with, that's to give you that sense. And then my third kind of grounding slide that I'll show you. Again, don't get caught in the details. It's to look at the dark blue. We have programs in the US that are designed to bring people who live in institutional settings, such as skilled care, back into community, which you can imagine requires a whole host of things to do well. So any state that is dark blue has an increased amount of people who are interested or working in that within that program. So I know it's a busy slide, but I wanted to show you increase of older adults, people living in the community either by choice or by necessity or lack of necessity, and then this push to bring people back to a home in the community rather than a home in another setting. So everyone's familiar with aging in place, and we do use that terminology, but I want to offer you alternatives that were, some are older, some are newer, but really capture place in a much more holistic and vibrant way. So in the field, we use a lot of these terms beyond aging in place. Being in place, you can see, is really, really bringing in the piece of the environment, right? You're going to see a lot of Venn diagrams, and this is one of them. So it's the idea of feeling or being in place as a person if you need a care convoy. This is the 1980s, so the models were a little bit different. But your environment is part of who you are. And I'll go through a bunch of theories that talk about place as being comfort, physical comfort, and then how place builds identity. So when people tell me, oh, aging in place, I say, do you mean being in place, right? So I'll switch the narrative. So it's an alternative way of thinking about place itself. I'll give you another one. This was done by colleagues in Canada for people who are experiencing homelessness, older adults who are experiencing homelessness. And it's all of the factors that we now use when we talk about place, right? We talk about the individual person, we talk about emotion, satisfaction. But for me, place is physical place, and then attachment to place, and then identity from place. So it's multi-layered, but I'm not naive that we need the built environment, whether it's constructed for older people or people are living there in that built environment that's not constructed for older people. And the bottom line is the stability and affordability, as Tim said, right? A place is lovely, but if you can't afford to be in that place or don't have inclusiveness in that place is not a place for you. So these are just two different models. We have many of them, but I want to give you more vocabulary or ways to think beyond age-friendly or aging in place. Right, I can't not say age-friendly, right? World Health Organization would be very uninterested, but a couple of the slides are a little bit blurry, and I'm sorry I couldn't get a better image, but we understand that this is the push, right? That we want to have inclusivity for people in all levels of ability, and all levels of age, and all levels of everything to be active and engaged into society. And that's what age-friendliness is. When we talk about age-friendly cities, and I've lived in several, and we have age-friendly universities, we say age-friendly for who or age-friendly for whom, right? So there's this questioning of, is that label really meaningful for the people who it's supposed to be age-friendly for, right? So we think about that a lot, but I cannot talk about age-friendliness, right, at all. This is an older model from a book in 2012, but for me, it's always this, it's a dynamic relationship with place, as first presenter discussed, that some people have better access to place, better ability to stay in place, better structural components in society, right? Better all sorts of things that make place not desirable, right? So place is not always something that is a choice or is something that is at the level of the individual agency. And I'm going to talk about agency and structure, right? I'm a sociologist by training. I'll go through some theories that do that. So there's different models of place. These are a few. I'm going to give you a bunch more, in a few minutes, less than 20 minutes. So you could take courses, you could read a lot about theory, but I just want to show you the evolution of person and place fit and person and place ideas and aging. When we began, you all probably know Powell and Namahow, or Lawton and Namahow's work about environmental press and personal capabilities. And the onus was really on the individual. Can you meet the demand of your environment, right? You hear the agency there. Can I meet my environmental demand? As we move through time, the agency of the individual was understood in a kind of less blameful way, right? That there are structural components that prevent people from experiencing what they want in their environment. So we looked at congruence. How well does the environment suit you, right? We're flipping the script. Rather than you meeting the needs of the environment, how well does it suit you? And then Oswald, Weil, and colleagues brought in residential satisfaction. So we went from your place being your home environment to your place being your neighborhood, right? To be a larger physical setting. Diaz-Moore ecological framework looked at place in the sense of being a social actor. So you're a social actor in a setting and you're interacting with that place and you're making that place through the rhythm of you being in that place and being part of that place all the time. So you see the evolution of thought, right? And then Chaudhry and Oswald and other planners, however, or environmental gerontologists, however you want to define them, they looked at, does the environment do for the person in terms of not only the sense of self, but even cognition? So how do you feel in that place and how does that place impact you? And there are multiple studies of poorly designed places and well-designed places that can impact the lived experience of people. They work a lot with people with dementia in care settings, but it's not only care settings nor people who have dementia. This is the last slide with words, but I wanted to give you more of how a place evolved for us, right? So not only do we have the physical sense of place, the lack of blaming kind of agency or individual, we know there's structural barriers and all sorts of barriers. We look at emotional attachment. And somebody I talked to talks about object attachment. Do you define yourself through your objects and things? We understand that identity is fluid and attachment is fluid. So if I live in my home, I have one sense of self. If I move in a care setting, I may have another sense of self. If I move into a hospice, if a hospice is in a physical place, you are developing who you are in relation to place, right? Place is a relational relationship. Rhythm analysis, I really like that how we are, who we are, is what we do in the place where we are, right? And within those spaces. And then this is probably the closest tie that we have, that there's this group of individuals who look at the impact of the built or physical structure, in addition to natural spaces, on the experience of older people, either with dementia or Kaplan and colleagues look at the ICZ, the intergenerational contact zones, where they're planned spaces for people of all generations to meet and engage with each other and have a good experience. Sorry, I should have used the clicker, I'm sorry. What does it mean? Right? We've heard this from our first presenter, that it's complex and layered. So for us, when I say aging and place, not in place, this is what I see, right? Summation of the theory. It's belonging, security, and physical comfort. It's feeling socially centered and bodily centered. And it's having that insiderness, right? I know where to go and meet a friend. I know where to go to have coffee. I know my third space where I can be myself and see people, even during a pandemic. So we look at place more in this way, although you'll still hear the aging in place and all the other terminology, but place has evolved a bit. These are some of the terms, right? We talked about aging in the right place, stuck in place, aging out of place. we say there are some people who never have access to the keys to the kingdom. There's some people who can never age from the place they wish to age in, right? They don't have access for whatever host of reasons there are. There are third places, which are neither home nor work, where you are yourself and you get identity and friendship and all those things. I write a lot about disrupted place, and I'm going to use COVID as the example, right? We got a lot of ageism and stigma during COVID, but it disrupted a lot of things: daily rhythms, access to place, relationships, and all that. For older adults, we have transnational and multinational place. People are no longer mono place, right? People move around a lot. So if you're designing for people or the experience of older adults, they're no longer fixed in one physical setting. And colonization in place. I work with people who have long, complex history, right, in the place they live and with groups they're living with. We cannot not acknowledge colonization in place and the role of that in, as I think your dean said, right? You're having indigenous planning, we do indigenous methodological practice. Then we have virtual places. These are places that never exist and may never exist, but you can access, right? So all of these places are the things that we talk about in comparison to aging in place. Right, I'm obsessed with places. Everyone is here. There's nothing new about that. In the book, I have 3 principles, and I'm going to show you. This book was done with data from Colorado. So I did interviews, and I developed a measure, which I have later to assess how well a person in a place kind of fit. But I'm going to show you some pictures from a photo voice study that I did when I came to Baltimore. But they're all about these 3 premises. So we think we understand place, right? Top-down place for older people. But I want you to look at the pictures and see that these are photos that people took and shared and then told me the meaning of them. I didn't interpret meaning. They were interpreted by the person who took them, obviously. So there are 3 premises that I found that place is paradoxical, right? And I'll show you that example. Place can be traditional and non-traditional at the same time. And then this is really a fun one, that if you ask someone about place and what place means to them, it's nonlinear, right? It's going to be nonlinear. So I'll give you an example of each of these. Again, this was an ethnographic, a photo voice study that I did with older adults in Baltimore City, all virtual. I've never met anyone in person. This was a virtual research study, virtual research methodology. I'm sorry. So this is the first premise, right? And this is the paradox. These are pseudonyms, right? She pseudonymed herself as Trixie. I wouldn't have chose that name, but and it's called My Apartment, Small but High Ceilings. And she's a retired nurse, and she said, I wanted to live in the city, so I looked downtown. This is a repurposed building, right? We've heard that a lot today. Her apartment is 2 rooms, very small, but the ceilings are high, right? We've heard that a lot too. A lot of unique structure. Her ceiling is scalloped with pipes running through it, but it's not annoying. Someone has some poor pet that has separation anxiety, and she says the neighborhood's gritty, but she wants to live there. And this is kind of the paradox. We assume that people feel if there are negative aspects, they might outweigh the positive, but she's quite happy. She could have lived anywhere in the city, but this was Trixie's choice. So it's a little bit paradoxical. If you look at this, right, this is what I think of when I think of a picture of place. It's lovely. It could be a postcard, right? Her name is not Thea, but Thea is a spiritual practitioner in Baltimore. So, and when I did photo voice, I didn't give people these themes. I drew these themes from their pictures, and then I responded, gave the themes back to them, and they would edit it. So it's a co-partnering in research. This is one of the examples I think that illustrates this theme. So she's here, you don't see her, but she's sitting by the lake. She had a cabin. It's 80-degree weather. You know, she's hanging out away from her home, right? This is like, I don't know, ideal place, stereotypical place, you know, constructed place. But then when I asked her for another picture, this is the other picture, right? It's called The Pink Moon. She named it, and this is her narrative. So I said, what does this place mean to you, right? What's the meaning of the place? So she said, this is a pink moon, very healing for me. I lay basted in the energy of that moon, being captured in the energy and honoring the moon in the ceremony. And if you look underneath the tree, right, it's hard to see, but in the in that white kind of draping, she says there's an angel present. So if you're designing place for someone like this, right, their concept of place might be different than what you're thinking, right? Very different. So traditional, non-traditional. This, right, this is a Baltimore row house, right? So if you walk going Baltimore, this is what you will see, many, many row houses, right? So this is Donald, and I'll show you a series of pictures from what Donald has covered, but this is not his first home, right? This is maybe second or third. I don't know how many. And he said, like, our physical residence is in this Baltimore neighborhood where he feels comfortable and safe. He chose this neighborhood. It was a choice. He didn't live there. It wasn't a naturally occurring retirement community. He moved here, right? This is, again, a choice. And everything in this photo he explained to me has a meaning. It has a symbolic value and a meaning. And he said he's lived 40 years in amorphous Maryland jurisdictions. Like he said, suburbs and other places that meant nothing to him. But this is something that he finds really meaningful. Feeders, he's got the flag, and he talks about how everything is meaningful, including the bird feeders to protect the environment, flowers to, have bees and other things. So this is the first image he showed me of place. This is not his first home. Then he showed me pictures in this order, right? This is, I think, a very traditional photo of a Christmas scene, right, for people who celebrate Christmas. This looks like a photo. I would assume if he goes in linear order, this might be his first home. It's not. The first home is the current home, right? At least the present home. And then he talked about, he's from the UK, so he talked about being an expat and living in the UK and what that experience was like for him, being in another home, right? So that was another place of home or place. And this was the house he had before he moved to the brownstone. He wanted to keep it in his family, so I think his children bought it from him, right? So this sense of place is not linear, right? And all of these places mean something to him, but maybe not in the order in which he lived in them. So for me, right, this is my bias. A disclaimer, right? That's the agent, right? So, but I think that my whole philosophy of my work is to co-partner. When I do research, right, I co-partner. When I do anything, I co-partner as equally as I can with people. So I work with older people, not for them or by them. It's a partnered relationship, and that's my philosophy in anything that I do. Does it take time? Yes. Is it more difficult? Maybe. But the results for me are always better than they would have been if I didn't. So you can put whoever else needs to be there in there. If you're not there, I'm sorry, I couldn't think of everyone's name or title. But I think if we design things for people without them, they're missing in the place, right? And if they don't feel a sense of identity in the place or a sense of belonging in the place, it might be quite difficult for them to be there, right? That they're a guest in the place rather than the place has an insider feel. So you could add millions of groups here, right? Some of these are ideological battles. You could pick your favorite and add, but it's just this idea that sometimes we do things with the people who matter the most having the least input, right? And it's never intentional. We're not bad academics or researchers, but it's what we might do. Okay, so I use this in the book. I'll say Hotterwick, but I can't pronounce, if anyone can pronounce it. Is it over? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But I guess this is a call not to be negative, but when you design something, to really design it with the idea that it's not a stereotypical ideal of what we're doing for people, right? That the people who are in there, it's really, to use Sharon's word, authentic, right? It's an authentic representation of people with their influence rather than something designed for people that has